what did you, as a little girl, aspire to be? What did you think you would be doing with your life when you were little Johnnette?
Oh, well, when I was little Johnnette, I used to like to teach. And little Johnnette would teach little Johnnette. So what I would do is when I would be studying for a test, or I would be sitting there, getting all of my homework done, I would pretend that I was the teacher. And so I would, speak out loud to myself and say, now we're going to add up this column of numbers, and this is how you carry, and, and it was that kind of a thing.
That's how I studied in college.
Well, it's a smart way to study, isn't it?
Yeah, you hear the information more than one time. You take ownership of the information because now you're teaching it, delivering it yourself.
That's exactly right. It is an absolutely great study technique. So that's what I did. And of course, I did teach school for 7 years and enjoyed every moment of it. And I really look at what we do through Women of Grace on EWTN and what we did with the Abundant Life prior to that as teaching. We're presenting a topic. We want to inform, we want to instruct, we want to inspire those viewers who are watching that particular show. We want them to come away with something. And so oftentimes when I am preparing, I'll have some objectives. What's really important in this information for them? What can they consume intellectually or spiritually, even emotionally, within the context of a half-an-hour program, which is what Women of Grace is. Prior to that, it was an hour program. So I was always kind of using that educational knowledge about instruction in those programs, and still do. What's the objective? How are we going to get there?
But I bet you never thought you'd be doing that on television behind a camera.
I never did think that. No, that was never anything I aspired to. Although I can remember I was very impressed by the weather lady on KDKA television when I was a little girl in Pittsburgh. Her name was Eleanor Shano. And I thought, it must be so much fun to do what she does. But I never anticipated I would be doing anything like that.
Well, Eleanor, if you're watching now, you've inspired a young woman here to become an old pro.
Yes, indeed.
You really are a natural behind the camera, on a stage, really with a microphone in your hand at any time. Is that something that a talent that you always had, to be in front of people or to communicate a message to people, because you do it so seamlessly?
Well, when I was in first grade, Sister Mary Lois had a nickname for me, and that nickname was Little Miss Talking Machine. So I think talking has always been pretty much a part of my existence. But the very first time I realized that I had the capacity to move people in some way was when I was a junior in high school. And so we had a class meeting to determine what the theme would be for our prom. Our proms were always in the wintertime. And so I came up with a theme, Sleigh Bell Enchantment.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it? I thought
I
so
want to go to that prom.
It was so lovely. Yeah, and I had it all worked out in my mind what this would be like. And so the king of the prom and the queen of the prom, they would sit, their throne would be an old-fashioned sleigh.
Of course.
And your grandparents actually found an old-fashioned sleigh that we used. And I have pictures of it in my yearbook. I'll show it to you.
I would love to see that.
But the interesting thing about that was that I got up before the class and I really wanted this theme. And I was up against some heavy-hitting themes, really like Winter Wonderland. And just wonderful things. Yeah, exactly. And so I presented it.
Starry Night.
Starry Night.
Another favorite.
Oh, beautiful. And I can remember seeing Sister Marie Charles in the back of the room. She was a religious teacher that I had, who I always wanted to impress, and she taught us history. And I can still see her standing back there like this. And as I was presenting, she got just this little smile on her face, and I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." Well, anyway, needless to say,
you moved her.
I moved her, and I apparently moved my whole class because that won unanimously, just about. And so we had that prom. Yeah. So I guess that would be the first time I realized, that's an unusual thing to do.
Absolutely.